Early this morning, I was watching my little birds eat when 2 deer walked into the yard. Can you see them? As you can see, it's not very hospitable for sitting outside today, talking about yarn. Snowy, sleety weather. So come on, let's go inside and sit by the fire.
Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret, and we are inside, all warm and toasty. This is the place where I like to sit. It's a beach chair, actually, that brings me up really close to this fireplace. We have a real fireplace in the other room, but I can't build a fire, so what good is it? What to talk about? I didn't do a whole lot this week, but that doesn't mean I have nothing to talk about. First of all, last week I did this hat and I was worried about it felting when I washed it. And it didn't felt, but it did come out a little bit smaller. The stitches are a little tighter. Does that, if I'm correct that this is Woolies, which I think it is, then maybe it just draws up a little, because Woolies is a little bit wool and some acrylic. So I don't know, but I also need to kind of wet it again and make it hold its shape, because it's awful wrinkly. But it came out nice and soft. You can feel the wool in it, but that was interesting. Okay, then last week I also discovered that I really like using black lines in between colors, and so I did this one. Got a little carried away. It's a little bit long, so it'll be sort of slouchy. And this one, which looks a little Halloween-y, doesn't it? But I like the colors together, and it is bright and happy. If you don't want to think Halloween, you could look at it and see colors of fire. But I liked it. The black really makes a difference. And speaking of black, I did this little crochet hat too, which is just 2 different shades of gray and black. It's double crochet beanie with a, can you see that, front post, back post to make a ribbing around the outside for a little boy. And then I did this one too. This is on the Addy. It is a folded up brim that I do by hand, because I still haven't figured out how to do that on the machine yet. So that's that. And then, dun da da, this one, Thomas. I'm doing a video. Be quiet. I did do this one again. I ripped it and then put it back in the machine, and it came out great. So I really love it. And then I put a great big old pom-pom on the top. But I just love that. Now, it's no secret that I love reading the comments that I get on my videos. It's the interaction of the people that I think I love so much about doing this. And first, I want to talk about a great idea that Vicki Weaver had. She has 2 Addy Express machines, and she takes them to the assisted living nursing home type place in the assisted living section. And the people who can't crochet or knit anymore can still turn a crank. And so they have been making hats for, I think it was a NIC unit, maybe preemie hats, or hats for the homeless or something, whatever. It's making these people feel very, very productive and letting them work with yarn, which is something they love. So I thought that was an ingenious idea. So good job, Vicki. And now I want to read you something from Lucy 3226.
But first, I want Lucy to know that I love that you called me out on this. I am so guilty of this. Happens in everything in my life. If I am not totally enthralled with a project, it's like I just get bored with it and I'll just put it aside. And that's ridiculous. So listen to the list that she found. I'm crazy. I'm a crazy loon.
Margaret, did you ever finish that granny square blanket with the scraps? Also, did you ever finish the cat bed and the other granny square blanket for the little old lady that went to the nursing home? Just thought I would ask you, because I was watching all your videos and never saw if you finished them yet. the first thought that pops into my head when I read this is, why would you want to sit and watch all of my videos? But I'm glad you did, so thank you. But secondly, Lucy, why are you pointing out all my faults? And that's what I wrote back to her. I said, oh, Lucy 3226, you've pointed out more of my flaws. I've discovered, and this is true, I don't like long-term projects. I get too bored. I'm off the hook, no pun intended, with the little old lady because they told me she did not want to go to that nursing home, so reminding her about what she can't do may not be a good idea. And that's true. So if you'll remember, I don't have those squares handy, but it was in an ivory color, and I was going to do a little lapcan. And I'm not ready to give up on that. Just because they suggested that that's not something I ought to be sending her, and I can understand this. I mean, if all of a sudden somebody told you you can't crochet or knit anymore, and we're going to pack you up, make you leave your house, and you're going to have to go live in a nursing home, and you were not on board with that idea, seeing that someone else has your yarn and was making things with it just may not make you happy. So I'm glad I asked, and they suggested that I not do that. But I do like the concept of that little lapcan, so I think I might do it. So I have the squares still, and I put them aside, but again, I get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So when I'll do that, I don't know. But like I told Erin, Give Me Yarn 418, I don't have any craft goals because my crafting is my stress relief. And I have other goals that I really need to meet. So to put pressure on myself about something that I really, really love, that just doesn't go together. All right, so here's the other thing she was talking about. I had started, this was a long time ago too, making these. I was going to make this garden afghan. It was just a bunch of stripes, bunch of flowers in different colors. And I still have it. And again, I'm not ready to give up on the idea. But let me tell you, I am not real keen on afghans, to tell you the truth. My aunt is a quilter. And we have tons of beautiful quilts that she's made. And of course, everybody in the family has them too. So making an afghan for myself is, and for anybody in the family, it just seems kind of counterintuitive. So I'm not ready to throw it away, but I lost interest and I'm not working on that right now. Then there's the cat bed. Now, the cat bed was done with some yarn that Erin I won in a giveaway that she did. And so the problem with the cat bed was that I was too stupid at the time to know that I should be doing this very tightly. And so it doesn't hold its shape. I'll show you in a minute. But when I went to go get it to talk about it in this video, I found the scarf that I made ages ago, and I couldn't find it. And it was because it was sitting in this tray all mixed up with all this stuff. So I was really happy I found this scarf. I didn't know what happened to that thing. I also found a dog collar that I've been looking for. Billy has 2 collars, and we couldn't find the green one. So that was exciting. But here is the cat bed. And the cat bed is too floppy. It's supposed to start coming up on the sides. And I think the problem is that I used too big of a hook. This is a K. And that was probably what was suggested on the labels. And at the time, sounded good to me, but I didn't realize it wasn't going to stand up on the edge. So I definitely am not getting rid of this because I do love the idea. But I got frustrated with it and didn't know what to do, so I just quit. But you know what? I don't think of this as like, oh, Margaret, you're a quitter. It's more like put it aside and think on it, and you'll come up with a solution. And that's pretty much what I do with a lot of things. And it does. An idea will pop into my head, and I'll be able to finish it. And then thinking about this, like, why didn't I know better about this? I realized that I told a big fat lie to some friends the other day. We were in a Google Hangout, and they asked how long I had been crocheting, and I said since 2009. And I was just as sure of that date as that my own name. That ain't right. It was 2011. Yeah, it was the end of 2011 that I started with yarn, loom knitting first, and then I moved into crochet. So I'm still fairly new to this game compared to a lot of you, and that's why I didn't know better at the time to use a smaller hook and make this tighter. So at least I think that's what it is. So if y'all have more suggestions, let me know. Now, one more thing I want to talk about today is the fiber factor. They just finished their first season, and what this show is basically there's a local yarn shop, as best as I can figure, who has put together a show featuring knitwear designers, and it's very similar to the Project Runway. When I found this thing when it first came out, I was so excited. I watched it all the way through. One of the challenges that they had was for the adding machines. That was pretty impressive. These people are geniuses. I mean, geniuses. Well, they have just released the winners over the past week of the challenge, because it takes a long time, of course, because I have to give them several weeks to work on these projects. And there are 2 videos that are out. You can watch just the fashion show of the last 4 contestants, where they had to do a collection of 3 items, and it's probably about 10 minutes. And then the other one is the complete judging. It's where the people have the 3 things beside them. They just defend their designs, explain their designs, and I, of course, think that's really interesting, and I watched the whole thing. And then at the end of that, that's when they announce the winner. So it's over an hour, so you can decide which one you want. But I'm not going to tell you who won because I don't want to be a spoiler. So, but it was really good. Something else that I did was I made a mat out of old T-shirts. This was just a spur-of-the-moment thing I wanted to see if I could do. And what I learned, this is just single crochet back and forth, and what I learned is that undershirts like my husband wears, which are just a real much softer 100% cotton. I don't know why it seems stretchier, it's softer. I cut those strips 1.5 inches because that was the YouTube video that I found that gave me the instructions. And then I found that the typical cotton T-shirts like you wear, those were a thicker type cotton, and they, well, look. Can you see right here how it's thicker? Okay, I cut that at 1.5 inches too, but I figured out as I went on here, these up here, I just cut these at 1 inch. So when I had the thinner type of cotton T-shirt, I did 1.5, and the thicker ones I did 1, and they came out good. It was a good fit. But here you can see where I did it at 1.5, and it didn't work. So you just have to kind of pay attention to that. The purpose of this was to put on the kitchen floor. We have scored concrete floors, which get really cold in the wintertime. And there is a box that I keep in the kitchen that the kitties like to sit in the mornings when it's cold. And of course, there's 2 kitties, and they don't care to share. So last week, Thomas dropped his sweatshirt on the floor of the kitchen. And I just left it there. I wanted to see what he would do, if he would pick it up or not. Well, the kitties loved it. They kept sitting on it, and it sat there for 2 days before finally Dad told Thomas to go pick up his sweatshirt, and because he couldn't stand it anymore. But that's what gave me the idea to do this. I thought, well, maybe I've got a ton of old t-shirts in there that were, if you have boys, you know, they get stained and holes in them. I don't know how they get holes in them, just rips in different places, whatever. And so I had all these saved that I use for rags, and I thought, let me see if I could do this. And the kiddies love it. Now, Calico has this great fascination with running, taking a running start in the bathroom mats, and then she attacks. She slides into these and she attacks them, and she lays on her side and she rabbit kicks them, and it's just great fun. And she's usually chasing ponytail holders or toothpaste caps. We save the toothpaste caps, and she thinks that's just great fun. So this has turned into a mat that they sit on in the kitchen and a play toy for Crazy Girl.